Hello again, guys. It's Kia here with another video. This time I'm doing something a little bit different. Like I said in my BTS video, that I wanted to transition into like the vlogging aspect of YouTube. So yeah, this is kind of like my transition into that. So today I'm going to talk about my Disney College Program, or the DCP, that I did last year. I was a spring 2017 attendee. So yeah, this is gonna be a little bit about my experience with that and would I do it again. So let's start from the very beginning, my acceptance letter. But yeah, so how I found out about the college program, I had a friend did it like 2 years before I did. That she did back in 2015, and I I was back in August 2016. I was about to be done with school, and I didn't know what the hell I was gonna do with my life. So I was like, why not try something completely out of the norm, whatever. I was living in New York City at the time, and I applied to the college program, not expecting to get much out of it. So yeah, I applied to the college program, and literally hours after I submitted my application, I got a email from the recruiting team at Disney telling me that they wanted to interview me, and I was just like, hey, okay. So actually, it was like a web-based interview. So what it was, they just asked you a bunch of questions about yourself, about your work experience. You're not actually talking to a real person. Like I said, it's like just random questions of web. They give you a link, and if you pass, I guess it's kind of like they have points for each of the answers because we're all like multiple choice questions. So, and I guess if you get a certain amount of points, you're eligible for a phone interview, which I got. So yeah, I was eligible for a phone interview. So you schedule a phone interview, and I scheduled it about 3 weeks after my web-based interview. So I spoke to a lady, I totally forget her name, but she was like the nicest lady with the cutest southern accent ever. So I spoke to her. My interview was literally 22 minutes long. She asked me, how I heard about the program. She asked me about my work experience. She asked just about me in general. She asked just a bunch of random questions. It was basically like a regular face-to-face interview, except it was just over the phone. And she was just like, okay, yeah, well, it was great talking to you. You seem like a great person, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And I was like, okay. And yeah, and again, 3 weeks later, I got my acceptance email to the program, and everything, my life did a 180 from there. So, fast forwarding to January 2017, the start of my program, after having months to prep, pack and say my goodbyes, which was super sad. I cried. But anyway, yeah, so after coming down to Florida, I did the random roommate thing. I didn't no, I did link up with one girl that she's my best friend now. So yeah, I linked up with one girl beforehand because there was a lot of Facebook pages about meeting roommates that I recommend. 'Cause you get to meet people beforehand. You come down. If you're coming down all by yourself like I did, definitely I would recommend trying to like socialize beforehand. So I did meet one girl that we liked each other. We had the same interest, and so we when they send you the link to say if you want to room with anyone, we've picked each other. And then so it was us two, and then it was four random girls that none of us knew. So we walk into our apartment, Chatham 13203. I remember it so good. Chatham 13203. So we had 6 girls in total, 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. So 2 people in the bedroom and 2 people sharing a bathroom, which wasn't too bad. And let me tell you, my roommates were the sweetest girls ever, and I feel so blessed because I hear horror roommate stories all the time. So I'm very glad we had no drama. Everyone got along. I mean, of course, we had disagreements, which is a normal roommate thing, but for the most part, we all got along. We all liked each other, and yeah, so let me tell you, if you want to really get to know your roommates, the first week of your college program is when you do it, because that's when you're doing traditions and no one has a work schedule yet. So the first week we went we didn't have our blue IDs yet. We didn't have our Disney main gates, which is what you get used to get into the parks for free. So we explored, Disney Springs. We went park hopping. We all bought Universal annual passes because if we're going to be here for, you know, 4 months to a year, why not? If we get sick of Disney eventually, which we did, so it was a good investment. So and you also get a Florida resident discount when for your Universal passes. I highly recommend you do that. So yeah, so that first week is that pretty much the only week you get to really get to know your roommates, because I promise you, after that first week, when everyone's like work schedules come in, you will not have any, you barely, I shouldn't say not, you will barely have any interaction with your roommates. So definitely get to know them in that first week. And speaking of traditions, it was the best thing ever, honestly. So you get into Disney University, which is basically a university which you study Disney. So it was really cute. The posters they had up, and they had all these like plaques, and there was even a Pluto coming from the ceiling. So like the decorations in Disney University were definitely super cute. I loved it every time I was in there. So traditions, basically it's orientation. That it is orientation, and you get to basically you get to know the company's backstory and its history. It's basically like a history class too. You get to know about Walt Disney himself and his brother Roy, how they came to found Disney World and Disneyland. And yeah, it was definitely a great experience, and then of course you get a surprise from Mickey at the end. Oh, spoiler alert. I'm pretty sure most people knew that, but yeah, Mickey comes in, and yeah, Disney Traditions was amazing. I mean, it was definitely long because there were two sessions. There was one that started at like 8 in the morning. They're 4 hours long. Started at 8, like ended at 12, and there was another one that started at like 3 p.m. and ended like until like 8 or something. And of course, I had the morning class. So me and my roommate, the one I told you about, who we linked up earlier, we both got that 8 a.m. class, and we were tired. It was so hard. I'm not even gonna lie. It was so hard to stay awake during traditions. It was so hard to stay awake. I mean, I remember most of it, but it was hard. And then I guess it got so bad of people, sleeping in traditions, that they threatened, if you sleep during traditions, you're gonna have to be scheduled for another 4-hour class. So yeah, so after our session, that became a rules, and then I heard just all the CPs, getting caffeine and coffee to stay awake, because it was just so long and it was so early, and it was college, honestly, college life. But then again, I didn't have a 4-hour course back in college, so yeah. So and then you get to get a sneak peek of Magic Kingdom afterwards, so that was really nice. I definitely woke everybody up getting into Magic Kingdom. For a lot of people, it was their first time. It wasn't my first time. I've been to Disney before with my family, but it was definitely a great experience. Traditions, which definitely I think back at it, and I definitely one of my favorite parts of the college program. So my role in the program, I was quick service at. I was originally at Electric Umbrella. So at Electric Umbrella, I trained for like 2 weeks, and then it was so random. My situation was just so weird. Like after working at Electric Umbrella for I had 2 weeks of training, and then maybe I was there for about 3 weeks, and they randomly switched my locations. So I was in Epcot, and they randomly switched me over to the Starbucks over in Epcot, which was called Fountain View. So for the rest of my program, so I was just like, okay, I trained for nothing. Okay, cool. Which I definitely love the Starbucks a lot more, because Electric Umbrella was basically McDonald's, and not that there's anything wrong working at McDonald's, but it's just fryers. It was hot, and we had like long sleeves, and we had long pants, and it just got really hot. And then after 8, sometimes even a 12-hour shift, because CPs do get like the worst shifts. We're at the bottom at the totem pole, so we get the shifts that the part-timers and the full-timers don't want, so the 12-hour shifts. So after a 12-hour shift at Electric Umbrella, you just felt sticky and nasty. And I always took an hour-long shower after I got home, and the hours were just, they weren't the worst, but they weren't the greatest either. Like, I know working at Magic Kingdom, my roommate worked at Magic Kingdom and she wouldn't come home until 2 a.m. sometimes. I couldn't imagine doing that. But yeah, 12-hour shift, I'd get in, 10 in the morning and I'm there at 10 at night. And it wasn't the worst. But then, yeah, switching over to Fountain View, Starbucks over in Epcot, it was the first time they ever allowed CPs and a Starbucks, because Starbucks is third party. Disney doesn't own them, but they're still in the parks. So it was the first time they ever had CPs into Starbucks. So it was an experience. They didn't have us do any of the grunt work. We were basically just there, like, stocking the shelves and the grab and go containers up in the front. We would restock those. So it was really easy. And again, it was super early. Starbucks hours were different. Like, I was there at 8 in the morning and that my shift would end at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So, which was a lot better, because then I definitely had a lot more time to do things in the afternoon, during my program. And I didn't have a 12-hour shift. We didn't get 12-hour shifts at Starbucks. So I'm very glad that I was chosen to get just randomly change locations, my job locations, because it definitely opened a lot of more doors because I definitely had a lot more time to, enjoy, my program besides, the work aspect. So I am definitely grateful for that. And let me just stress again that my situation was really random. So, if you're coming down for your program, I wouldn't, count on getting randomly switched to another location. Like, it was the first time they did that. But now CPs do work at Starbucks and they do work from open to close sometimes. So I just really got lucky with that. So yeah, definitely if you're coming down, don't expect that to happen, because it doesn't happen. But yeah, so next aspect of my program was definitely, I highly recommend you guys join the Facebook group. I joined a Facebook group and that's how I met the majority of my friends. We did the parks, or because a lot of people buy the Universal pass down here, or we would go to Universal. So I definitely recommend you join the Facebook group, because like I said, if you're coming down alone like I did, you're going to meet as many people as you want, and you're definitely don't want to feel alone in a new state, a new city, a new job, a new home. So I highly recommend you join a Facebook group. That's where I met the majority of my friends, whether they worked in Chatham or not. I also didn't have a car, so making friends who have cars. You don't, like my roommate, like I said, the one we became really good friends, she did have a car, so that was very handy. Because let me tell you, Transtar is like, I grew up in New York City. I grew up with New York City transportation. Transtar makes New York City transportation look heavenly. It makes New York City transportation look flawless. It's not reliable, guys, but it's not the worst. But it's all I had, so I had to rely on Transtar. I have my car now. I have a car now, because I couldn't. But yeah, definitely, like I said, join the Facebook group, make friends. If you don't have a car, you're gonna want to make friends with a car. Another thing that was a big problem during my program for some reason, because I lived in Chatham, as you may or may not know, the only CP complex that has the washer and dryer for laundry in the apartment units is the Commons. For some reason, Chatham, Vista, and Patterson, we all have to go to like the laundry building. But another big thing was laundry stealing. I remember, because like I said, joined the Facebook groups, and I was on the Chatham Square Facebook group, and it was a big problem of people stealing laundry. So it became a thing that people would, when they do their laundry, they would come down with books or like handheld video games and literally babysit their laundry. I personally never had anyone steal my laundry. Like, why? I don't understand why you want my bras, but there was a thing, a girl said someone stole all her bras from her laundry load, and I don't know. I mean, like I said, everyone's experience is different. I didn't have anything stolen from me, but it was a big thing. We had, socks stolen, we had work uniforms stolen, we had bras stolen. So that was just us. I figured I should mention that because it was a big thing during my program. I don't know if it was just, the people during spring 2017 or what, because yeah, I didn't have anything, with personally my laundry was never stolen, but that's something I feel like I should have mentioned. But yeah, towards the end of my program, everyone's leaving. The people who will arrive before you are leaving. And I mean, like I said, I was switched to a location where CPs normally don't go. So there was only about 4 or 5 CPs in my location anyway. So it didn't really affect my workplace. But, like I said, on the Facebook, everyone's like, oh my gosh, work is so empty now. And it did become a thing. I did realize at the complex, as like 2 departure dates for CPs came, the Wi-Fi became a lot better because there was a lot less people on it. That's another thing. CP Wi-Fi is not the greatest, but it works. And like I said, as people leave, it becomes more and more better. So that was one thing I really noticed. And my situation, I loved it down here, and I didn't want to go back home to like not knowing what I was going to do. So I decided to stay down in Orlando. I applied 6 weeks before your program ends. You can apply to transfer either the full-time or part-time. So that's what I did. I applied to a couple places, and the 6 weeks before my program ended, and now at this point we're at 2 weeks before my program ends, and I'm like, okay, I guess at this point I'm not gonna get anything. I should go home. So I'm at Epcot with a friend. I had a friend from back home visit me, so I'm at Epcot, and we're exploring the China Pavilion, and then I randomly get a call from this random number. I'm like, hello, and it was casting from Disney. They called to offer me a part-time position. Yeah, she called. She was just like, oh, we saw that you have a request for a transfer. We looked at your record card. Your record card is really good, meaning I didn't call out. I was never late, so have a good record card. It does good things for you. But yeah, since my attendance was good, my performance was good, I didn't have any reprimands or anything on my record card. So she was like, yeah, we looked at your record card, and you look like a hard worker, and we want to offer you this open position that we have. So they did have one full-time position. It was at Fort Wilderness. It was at one of the restaurants over there, as one of the quick service over there, and I didn't want to do quick service again. So she was like, okay, well, we have part-time at a full service restaurant. So I was like, yeah, I'll take that one. So that that part-time position was at Hollywood Studios, which was my favorite park at the time. So I was very excited. My favorite park now is Animal Kingdom, but back then it was Hollywood Studios. So when she offered me part-time at Hollywood Studios, I was very ecstatic, and I worked part-time for a month at, I almost forgot the name, at 50s Prime Time. Yeah, 50s Prime Time. I was a seater, as they call it. Yeah, basically I'm a hostess. So I did that part-time for a month, and then I eventually transferred to full-time again at Hollywood Studios. I was at Sci-Fi Dine-In. So yeah, if you do your program and you really love it, definitely I recommend keeping your attendance clean, come to work on time. Don't get anything stupid. Don't do anything stupid, because there's attendance reprimands, and then there's performance reprimands. Basically, if you do something that violates safety, Disney is huge on safety. So if you do anything that violates safety, that's something that they can put on your reprimand or fire you for. So definitely be careful with that. Like me, like I said, I was moved over to an easy location where all I did was stock things like the cupcakes and drinks, and all I did was clean. So it was really hard to it was really easy to not get a reprimand. So yeah. So yes, that was a brief summary of my Disney College program experience. If you guys have any questions or any concerns or any thoughts, let me know in the comments, and I will definitely answer any questions you may have. If you're coming down for your program, definitely, I hope this helped you, at least get like a brief understanding of what's going to happen. Like I said, everyone's experience is different. Like I said, I had great roommates, so someone may have had the worst roommates ever. Some people like their job location, some people despise their job location, some people, have a car, some people didn't have a car. So everyone's experience is definitely different. So if you have any questions, let me know and I'll definitely try my best to answer them. And thank you for watching. I'm definitely going to do another college program video. I'm thinking about doing the do's and don'ts of the college program. So definitely subscribe and look forward to that do's and don't video because you're definitely gonna need it. All right. Thank you so much and bye.